Nico, my apologies to you, but come on up. All right.
Thanks, Dad.
Do you have what you need?
I think so. Does that work? Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Yeah? Beautiful.
Do you need that?
That's good. Well, thanks Greg, for having me here. As Greg said, we presented in Amsterdam a few months ago and won the competition, which was a great experience. And are now here to kind of tell you a bit what we do and what has happened. Let me start off with a quick quote. In the future, a man in San Francisco may suddenly think of a friend in Rome. Reaching to his pocket, he will pull out a watch-sized disc with a set of buttons, punch 10 times, and see and hear his friend on a tiny screen. At the same moment, his friend in Rome will see and hear him too. What I find amazing about this quote is that it's probably the most accurate prediction of the future that I've ever seen, and that was made 60 years ago. So how will the world look like in 5 years from now? This is the Inside Innovation Exchange. Everything is about the future, about where things will take us. Technology disrupts all industries, probably most profoundly the data industry, the insights industry, faster than any other industry. But I think while it's important to always ask what the future will bring to us, it's equally important to think about what the present has for us. And the present looks like this. There are about 2.5 billion smartphone users around the world. Half of these people are in Asia, and the last figures I saw was around 600 million people in China alone. Now this is more than in the US and Europe combined. And this provides perhaps the most tremendous opportunity for the insights industry to get a new platform to generate insights on a scale that you've never seen before. The tricky question is, of course, how do we get from these 2.6 billion and soon 3 billion, 4 billion people to a world that looks like this, where you can leverage this power to generate insights on a scale and at a depth that you've never seen before. And there are different ways to do this. One of the most exciting ways, I think, is what people call real-time mobile sampling, dynamic sampling. Some people call it mobile river. There are other words. And what it essentially means, apart from being able to massively collect opinions, what it essentially means is shifting from a world where you try to bring users into your own system, into your panels, you want their phone numbers, you want all their personal information, into a world where you get to the users, get to the respondents where they are. We've seen this with Sway earlier. It's a similar logic, and there are a few dozen companies who are now starting to go into that space, and it's very exciting. So to reach people in an app, in a mobile website, a news app, a game, when they check the weather, wherever they are, at any time of day, to be able to reach them and ask them questions. Now, with any platform shift of that scale, there are challenges. And it's taken about a decade to move from CARTI to online sampling. And it will take some time here too, and I just wanted to point out 4 major challenges, I would say, that you have to solve. There are more, but I think these are the most important ones that you have to solve in order to leverage the power of mobile. The first thing is conversion rates. You're looking at completely different metrics than what you see in desktop research. You're talking about eCPMs, CPCs, real-time bidding platforms, dynamics that are completely different from what you see now. You need to kind of optimize systems in a way to collect data that is fundamentally different from how you're used to collect data with an email-based online panel. The second thing is data quality. completely different. Conceptually similar, but completely different because everything you do has to be in real time. You have to check consistency, you have to build algorithms to measure trust, you have to correlate passive with active data to understand how users behave and to instantly say whether this is a good response, a bad response, based on which measures you have to find them, and to be able to deliver consistently. The third challenge is to find the right channels. There are different ways, SDK in an app, banners all over the place. All countries work differently, and you have to find the channels that work well enough for what you want to do. And there are hundreds, even thousands of different channels, and then in terms of publishers, types of apps, hundreds of thousands. So this is very tricky to do. Perhaps the most important and the most difficult to do is the real-time targeting. Because what you need in this system is a profile database that is beyond anything what you see in a panel world. You need to have 50 million, 100 million, 150 million profiles in order to be able to target at a huge scale. Now you can do it also at a small scale, it also works, but in order to do it big and to leverage all different channels, the bigger your profile database, the better. And adjust it because you cannot ask people, dozens, hundreds of questions. Adjust it for how the different channels work. Now, once you advance on these things, you see a whole new world of being able to collect data. And a whole new world is literally a whole new world, because one of the most exciting things about the app economy and the two major operating systems is that they are global. Any app developer in Germany would instantly think about the market in Switzerland and Austria, and then go to the UK, US, and other markets. It's a global industry. People have their smartphones with them all the time. There are billions of them, so you get a massive reach. This is about 50,000 interviews that you can do in a day, maybe 2 days across the world. Some countries are stronger, others not as strong. This was supposed to be an interactive map where you can zoom in and zoom out and look at the different points. We handed this in quite late, so and Lenny said that maybe better to go for PDF. It's more stable, so that there's no screw up. But here you can see, for example, when you zoom in, there's a woman sitting in Central Park in Manhattan with an iPad answering questions. There's a man about my age with an Android phone in Jakarta. There's a woman slightly younger with an Android phone in Copenhagen. And there's another man a bit older with an iPhone in Shanghai answering questions. One of the things that excites me most personally is what you can do with it, apart from just asking people questions through mobile devices. You can suddenly ask questions not only for a country, but you can ask whole continents. You can ask, what does Europe think? What does Latin America think? What does Asia think? And do this very fast and at a huge scale. And this is, to me, it's very exciting. And then what you can do is you can take a few parameters. We took this one because I found it curious. I don't know why this is so. Support for same-sex marriage is higher among iOS users than among Android users. I have no idea why this is so, but we might take a look at the data to find out. Or you can rank countries. This one is, we do this for quite a few variables. This one is in-app purchases. So if you're a developer, it might make sense to start in Canada or the UK or South Africa rather than Croatia or Argentina, because people are more willing to pay for content in an app. One of the things while doing this, there are lots of things that are interesting when you do this. One of the cool things is, this is from about 500,000 surveys. And people, when you ask them questions on a mobile device that do all these things that Research Now has here, so the scale that are really nice designed, well-framed questions, engaging, responsive, and all these things. People on average underestimate the time it takes them to complete a survey by about 40%. There's some variation across countries, but this is overall what people think, how long it takes them. We measure this every time, and what is interesting to me is, we do this with many things, data quality and all the other issues. What is interesting to me is, in the industry there's always kind of this feeling, oh, panels on the one side, how's the data they deliver, and it's all treated as a technical process. But what we see in our own system is the data quality and the way you get people to respond so fundamentally depends on the type of questions you ask. That's true in the desktop world, it's true in mobile times 10. How you interact with people, whether you treat a survey as a data collection tool or whether you treat a survey as a communication tool, as if you'd go on the street, talk to someone and ask them a personal, like face-to-face question where you interact with someone, and you cannot do this mechanically, you kind of have to frame it and you have to engage with that person. And this is what you have to do in mobile. And when you do this, it's amazing what kind of data you can obtain and how users respond. And this is something that we did, I think, 10 days ago with one of the biggest market research agencies in the world. We tested in South Africa, and the study was about race relations and xenophobia. And this is a question, can you share an instance that you experienced which made you proud of South Africa? And when I saw this, and we've seen this many times, but I wanted to show this to you, because what you see here is that people write a whole paragraph on their mobile phone. Now imagine this, they write not just a few words, a few sentences, they write a whole paragraph. And this is really amazing, because these are not people that we know that are in our panel per se, that we've profiled and that they're used to participating in research on a regular basis. Kind of, they're non-professionals, I would say. They encounter this somewhere, say, okay, I want to do a survey in exchange for access to some premium content. And this is what happens. And this is always amazing when we see this. And this is one thing that I wanted to leave you with, because it's just fun to see all these answers from around the world. Thanks a lot.